Howdy folks, I'm Mumbo Jumbo,
I'm Amber.
and here's some Reddit. Alright folks, our first letter is titled, Will I be the jerk for calling the cops on a creepy delivery driver? Let me know what you folks think about this one so far. How much more information do we need? I'm a 25-year-old female, and I recently moved to a new city for a job. I decided that it was time for me to get some new furniture as well. I went to a local furniture shop, I found a decent bedroom set, and I bought it. And I scheduled a delivery for later in that week. Well, the day of the delivery, I get a call saying that my delivery will be there around 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. I asked if they could narrow down the time frame a little bit since I have errands to run, but want to be sure not to miss the delivery. He said that he would call me when he was 2 hours out, which he did, and everything worked out great. The delivery, which included assembly, was normal, nothing out of the ordinary. I was mostly in the living room organizing. We made brief small talk about me being new to town, maybe chatted for like 5 minutes or so. He finished his job and then left. That was that. About a week later, I start getting really weird text messages from an unsaved number. What would you do if you knew you loved someone from the first time you saw them? Was the first one. At first, I ignored it. Then I asked, who is this? They wouldn't answer. They just kept telling me the answer to answer their questions. Do you have a boyfriend? What would your dream date be? So I blocked the number. Then I realized the number looked kind of familiar. I know very few people in this area code, so I checked my call log back to the day of the delivery. And holy cow, it was the same number that is texting me that is the number that called me about my delivery. I mentioned how freaked out I was to my friend and her boyfriend on New Year's Eve. I brought it up to them because he's a delivery driver for Amazon, so kind of similar jobs. He said, how else is a guy supposed to shoot a shot? Alright folks, like how is a guy supposed to shoot a shot? Like, if you don't creep on somebody, then how else are you supposed to do it? I mean, just
it's not like you can talk to the
no,
person.
I mean, you just gotta creep on people, and that's really the way it boils down. I am, of course, being sarcastic. Please, don't hurt me. After talking to friends, they say they don't think that it's a big deal, as I do. Will I be the jerk for calling the police, or is that overreacting? I'm questioning what to do after talking with my friends. He knows where I live, obviously, so I don't want to make the guy mad, but the context of the messages and the audacity to take a customer's personal number to text them personally, clearly the issue with boundaries, which is not okay. Alright folks, what do you think? Jerk or not the jerk?
Not the jerk.
Please do tell me.
This is entirely inappropriate what he did. Like, he was given your number for work purposes.
Yep.
And like then he proceeds to text you without letting you know who he is like, my guess is he knows that because he's much older than you. OP mentions in the comments he's in his 40s. That he knew he probably wouldn't have a shot with you, so he wanted to try and win you over with like a dream date.
And I can understand that. Like,
no,
clearly texting someone anonymously, asking them creepy questions is sure to win their heart. Like that.
Yeah, no, definitely not. Like, and that would be my generous interpretation of
that is a very generous interpretation.
The most generous interpretation I can possibly give him is that he knew OP wouldn't be interested and was like trying to win her over with this. But the more creepy possibilities do abound, and like it's just
that's the problem here, is that it just seems so creepy. It seems like it's coming from somebody who may even be dangerous if they don't understand why this might be, like, disconcerting to a general person, right?
And, like, your friends who say this isn't a big deal are completely in the wrong.
What is wrong with your friends?
Like, this guy, he knows where you live.
Yeah.
He's accessed your house before, and, like, so he knows what the layout of your house is.
Yeah.
Like, someone in the comments suggests, like, looking to make sure he hasn't set up cameras in your bedroom. And, that's
a really good point. I didn't read that comment, but that is gold right there.
Yeah.
Yeah, OP really should.
Like, I'm not sure between his employment and the police, like, what to do exactly. Because the police, depends on your jurisdiction. It may not be able to do anything, but it might help to have a paper trail.
Yeah, I think having a paper trail more than anything is going to be really good here because they're not going to be able to put a restraining order on him. They might be able to give him a written warning to say not to bother OP. They might be able to issue like a trespassing statement. I'm not really sure. But they're not really probably going to be able to do much until he acts on doing something.
Yeah, because that's the problem is like so much of this is like based upon actions. And so if
Mhm.
you have a person who's being a creep, but they're not like running at you with a knife, the police are like, oh, well, what can we do?
Yeah, pretty much. So, unfortunately, the police aren't going to be able to do much, but the paper trail, I think, will be invaluable just in case he does escalate this.
Yeah.
And you should also contact the employer as well. And the reason why is because, again, while the employer might not do anything other than talk to him and tell him not to creep on the customers, right? And that might be a really good thing in the respect that if he's going out and contacting other people, you might save other people grief. And if he's done this a lot of other times and this is the time that he gets fired for it, then he deserves it, right? So, I mean, either way, it's kind of a win-win in the respect that he'll either hopefully stop this time or they'll fire him because he's done it more times, right?
But yeah, just be careful, OP. Like, because if he does get fired, like, he may blame you or escalate. HR is not always good at keeping these kind of things secret.
Yeah, well, it's a small business, so they don't even
Yeah.
have an HR. He's probably just a friend of the company's who works for them, if I had any kind of guess. So I doubt HR is going to be
Well,
involved
yeah.
here. I think it's going to be his buddy being like, "Hey, stop creeping on the customers. You're scaring them, right? You're going to cost us business in the future." So that's my feelings. It's probably not going to even come to him getting fired or anything. I think OP's way overestimating what the consequences to this guy is. They should be more severe. Don't get me wrong. I personally think they should be more severe, but the reality is that people don't get in trouble as much as they should for things like this.
Yeah.
So anyhow, take care and good luck. And Scooby-Doo42 says, not the jerk and definitely file a police report. It's completely creepy and out of line for a delivery driver to use your private information to then personally text you. Ugh, this makes me shudder. And what kind of response was, how else is the guy supposed to shoot a shot? Your friend's boyfriend is also a creep if he thinks that's okay. It's disconcerting that he thinks this is okay. And OP replies, yeah, I was really taken aback by how my friend and her boyfriend just brushed it off. Maybe because we were drinking at a party, so it wasn't the right time for me to bring up something concerning, but they were both just kind of, well, whatever. It made me question my sanity. Like, this isn't normal behavior, right? I feel so bad for OP because they seem to have a lot of terrible people with terrible judgment in their lives. And Carrie Cat 62 said, if he had introduced himself on the first text like, hi, this is the delivery guy's real name, I was wondering if I could take you out for a coffee or lunch sometime, he still shouldn't be doing that, but at least it would be a respectable way of handling a slightly sketchy situation. The way he's doing it is painting himself as a person who is sketchy AF. He got no respect for boundaries and is either creating a fantasy world around you or is getting off on scaring you. And OP replies, yeah, I'm not sure I did the best at conveying how creepy the messages were. If he had texted me, hey, this is your delivery driver, you're new to town and I wanted to take you out, I still would be a little weirded out, but definitely wouldn't be considering calling the cops. A commenter below said just a few texts and then she blocked him, character limit, and too lazy to copy the conversation word for word, but it was definitely more than that. I asked him at least 3 times, how do you get this number and who is this? Each time he would reply with another question. I honestly thought it was someone trolling me. He started out with a hypothetical scenario about finding the perfect woman and not knowing what to do about it. It wasn't until I got annoyed and was like, okay, I don't have time for this. I'm going to block you if you don't tell me who this is. Then I realized he was talking about me in the scenario. He proceeds to tell me that I'm beautiful, that he has the perfect date, what to do, and do I think this is the perfect date, etc. I didn't just get the impression that this was some guy who was bad at flirting. wanted to go on a date with me, and didn't understand it was inappropriate to text me, I got the impression that this guy might not be mentally stable, which is why my mind went straight to the cops and not his boss. I mean, that would be a really weird scenario to be thrown into, to be quite honest.
I tried to tell a joke while you were out, but it wasn't very funny.
You tried to tell a joke while I was out? What joke did you try to tell while I was out?
How can you tell if there's a monster in your sandwich?
Because it's full of bologna, and bologna is monstrous. That's why. That's how. It's a lot like the abominable snowman and his love for haggis.
It's too heavy to lift.
Oh, that's terrible.
I told you.
That's not funny at all. Was that from R.L. Stein? Jovial Bob Stein? Jovial Bob Stein, what is your problem? That wasn't even funny. Apparently we're having an intermission to tea time here. Alright, maybe we'll have to cut that and put it into tea time. Alright folks, our next letter is titled, Am I a Jerk for Keeping a Chores Record and Bargaining with My Husband? My husband is a 29-year-old male, and when he was my boyfriend, he did about half of the chores. I'm a 28-year-old female, and I was happy because my parents were very unequal in terms of housework. My mom did about 90% of it, and my dad mowed the lawn occasionally. And then, when we got married, he just, I don't know, decided that he didn't need to impress me anymore. I felt like it was a bait and switch. As soon as we said our vows and finished our honeymoon, he began to behave exactly like my dad in terms of housework. Would mow the lawn and take out the trash, and that was that. I did all the cooking, the cleaning, the vacuuming, and the laundry because he would let it pile up until it smelled rancid. He would rewear underwear from the stinky pile too, rather than wash his own clothes, which left me with no choice but to wash them. So now he expects me to do all the laundry too. Well, last year I got fed up and began tracking all of the chores and how often he does specific chores and if he does them when I ask. I kept a spreadsheet and mark things down. So far, he does chores when I tell him to about 8% of the time, and he does 12% of the household chores. We are supposed to be trying for kids this year, and around the holidays, he brought it up. I pulled out my sheet, and I showed him what I had been tracking, and I told him that when he does 50% of the chores without being nagged, I'll start trying for children. As it is now, I'm going to be doing all the housework associated with the children, and I don't want any more on my plate. He got really mad at me and accused me of being a psycho and holding having kids hostage. He also is mad and made a snide remark that I'm getting old and I won't be able to have kids soon anyways, but he can always wait to have them later. He hasn't done any more housework and keeps telling me that I'm crazy for keeping record of his contributions towards the household chores or lack of it. All right, folks, what do you think? Jerk or not the jerk?
Not the jerk. Do not have children with this man.
Yeah.
And next time he asks you for some food, serve him divorce papers.
You've been served divorce papers. OP should have just stuck to washing her own laundry and let him wear his old, raggedy, smelly clothes forever.
That's the thing, OP, is like from here on out, do not do anything for him. Make meals just for yourself. Wash just your own laundry. Let him...
And don't sleep in the same bed as him too, because like that's gonna get really smelly really fast. This is just not a relationship that's going to work. I feel. I think that you two have different values, and you two have different expectations for what marriage involves, and that's a real shame.
It was a bait and switch because he did everything before. Yeah. It's not like I don't know how to do anything. It's not even weaponized incompetence here. It's just
outright refusal.
Yeah, I'm gonna wait until we're married, and then I expect you to do it. We're not gonna have a conversation about this. I'm just gonna not do anything and expect you to pick up the slack.
Yeah, and I think that's just terrible. I really feel bad for OP here because this isn't the first time I've heard about something like this happening. This is just unfortunately common. I don't know why people change like this when they get married, but it's a real sad situation. You invest all this time, energy, and money into a relationship only for someone to change into a completely terrible human being when they finally have you locked down.
Well, that's it, is they wait until it's hard for you to run, you
Mm-hmm.
know, and it is a, you know, kind of a control, it's a control tactic,
Mm-hmm.
manipulation. He's,
Well, he seems to even enjoy the
mm-hmm.
control and manipulation because he's even rubbing it in her face that he can have kids later if he wants to. She can only, have this time. So if it's him or no one, pretty much is what he's basically saying.
Which is not true, OP. And again, even if you were to never have kids, it would be better than having kids with this man.
Yeah. Don't tie yourself to this guy. Like, this is just not good. And not good at all. Not good. Anyhow, take care and good luck with taking out the trash.
Yeah.
And Constant Patient 88 says, do you both work full time? And OP replies, yes. And Lynn Fran says, get rid of him. You will be happier.
Mm-hmm.
And I agree here with Lynn Fran. All right, folks, our next letter is titled, Am I a Jerk for Laughing at My Niece's Gift? And this one's terrible. My 12-year-old niece is really into arts and craft and recently got into crocheting. Before Christmas, she told me that she had a surprise gift for me and seemed really excited about it. I told her that I was really looking forward to it as well and prepared her gift myself, which was actually art supplies. Well, on Christmas, when we had our family gathering, she brought me her gift and was super excited for me to open it. When I opened it, I saw a crocheted animal, and if I'm going to be honest, it looked really, really bad. To give you an idea of what it looked like, imagine something from a r/bad taxidermy, but in crochet form. I couldn't help but burst out laughing, and I couldn't stop laughing no matter how hard I tried to suppress it. So I had to excuse myself and I had to go to the washroom, where I locked myself in there for nearly 10 minutes. When I came out, my niece was in tears, with her parents trying to console her, and I apologized profusely and told her that I really liked her gift, but she kept crying and shouted at me, calling me a liar and that she sucked at art. My niece avoided me for the vast majority of the party after that. I tried to make her feel better by displaying her gift in my living room cabinet, but my wife pulled me aside later and told me to take it down after the party because, in her words, it was really ugly and made her uncomfortable. Surprisingly, all the adults were very understanding of my situation, but I feel really bad because I feel like I destroyed my niece's confidence and that I'm not sure how I can make it up to her. Alright, folks, what do you think, jerk or not the jerk?
Yes, you're the jerk. Like, I understand involuntary reactions happen sometimes, but like, really? You're gonna laugh for 10 minutes at your niece's hard work?
Yeah, well, it also is like, she said that this was super special and that she really wanted to give it to you. As a relative, you need to be especially careful towards, harboring good attitudes and whatnot in children. And certainly there's a difference between critical, like, constructive criticism and outright laughing at how terrible something is. And I think that certainly it can be difficult to give good criticism, and with kids it's especially difficult because they're still learning, they're still growing, they haven't developed all the skills that they need, and so you really have to be careful about destroying their confidence in things like this, right? And I know that it might have been hard not to laugh, but you really need to do everything in your power not to laugh at that point in time. You should have said, "Oh, that was nice," and then excused yourself immediately before you started laughing.
Yeah, or you found some way to cover it up, Oh, I'm so touched, I'm sorry, like, like, oh, I'm tearing up, sorry, I gotta get out of here.
Yeah, or start, like, coughing, or
Yeah.
biting your lip, or stepping on your own foot, or cutting off your hand and being like, I have to go bandage this now, I'm really sorry. So that would have been, a better way of handling this situation than laughing at her.
No, Brian, it does not actually advocate for self-mutilation. Do not take this as real advice.
Brian's bad advice.
Yeah.
So yeah, my lawyer is telling me that I'm legally required to say, don't chop off your hand if your niece is giving you a gift. So, yeah, I just think it was in poor form. I really do. I understand involuntary reactions, but I think you really need to make a better effort at not laughing at her.
And what is wrong with your wife being like, oh, we need to get this away and not display it anymore because it makes me uncomfortable?
Yeah, that isn't,
It's not.
it isn't high quality, it isn't
Yeah.
professional, but it's out of love, and you
Mhm.
really just have to consider it in that frame. Anyhow, take care, and good luck. I guess Scooby-Doo is on a roll today. And Scooby-Doo 42 says, "You're the jerk, she's 12, and she worked really hard on something. Man, it breaks my heart just to think about her getting laughed at. Poor kiddo." Edit, OP, if you see this, I bet there are tons of us who would love to... oh, and they're just talking about buying the crochet, so... All right, folks, it is tea time. Grab your beverages of choice. I've got some tea right here. Amber's got another joke for us, and we'll see if it's better than Jovial Bobstein's terrible, terrible pun.
How can you tell if a plant is a math plant?
Oh, well, if the police have surrounded it and are
Math.
arresting...
Math.
Math. Yes, of course, math plants. That's right. How can you tell if something is a math plant? Well, it goes by the numbers. I don't know. It grows by the numbers. Oh, that was a good one. I like that.
Because of its square roots.
Oh, that's terrible.
I love
it. It was actually pretty good. I like it. And I have Mega Mint tea. Thanks to Amber.
I have tea as well. I tried a new tea. It was called, actually, it was a mint one. It was called Mint Refresh. It wasn't very good.
It wasn't refreshing. Let me tell you something about Mint Refresh. It was certainly minty, but it was not refreshing. That's constructive criticism.
I think we're just roasting it.
Yeah, no, that's not constructive. All right, folks, that's all the time we have for today. I hope you enjoyed today's video. I hope your week is going well. And what did we learn today? We have our morals of the story. The moral of the story is that if you want to laugh at your niece, you should chop your hand off first. I think that's what we decided. And also, if you get married and your husband wants to wear week-old underwear, then you probably should have a divorce instead. Thanks so much for watching, and we will see you all tomorrow.
Bye.